The
Mm-hmm.
whole idea of a human design chart reading is to get a person into their experiment
Mm-hmm.
and get them experimenting with their way. So, I mean, one of the first things I look at your chart and I can tell that, I think one of the questions was, I'm not sure what really got me here. And it was endless enthusiastic repetition got you here. One of many things. And now this is your chart. I would never even need to have met you to notice that this child, this person, this whoever, this chart gets is only happy when they're endlessly enthusiastic, basically with something with their hands, you know, and feeling called into something that they can now repeat and master and bring a mastery onto the plane. That
Mm-hmm.
just shows up here in a rhythm with all these little habits and rituals, and the rituals are important. And you've made up all your own rituals by now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reading the channels on your body graph,
Mm.
and not everyone will have this. So many people wouldn't, understand that. It wouldn't resonate with them.
Mm.
Do you have questions about your design?
Not, I'm not sure, not yet. I think once if you keep talking, I think questions will pop up, but it's been a while since I'm trying to like go back to what I remember, what I
Oh,
know. I
when someone
mean,
says human design, what does it make you think?
well, I guess maybe actually, if there's something I wanted to understand again, the 6-2 part, because yeah, I think I get the manifesting generator part, and that's just very basic as I know, because
Right.
there's um, and anything that actually could tell me now that not the brain's going now, so the questions are coming around my throat, and I'm trying to remember if, and I'm looking there,
I can
you know,
I can stop you here
good.
because the throat is as soon as there's a break in your so notice your body graph. Just
Mm-hmm.
first of all, let me just take a moment to wrap up the sort of scientific part. This is a diagnostic tool. It tells us the ways of the man or woman we're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean down to minutia, your ways, not someone else's. And they're all different. It is a diagnostic tool that tells us like everything from the things that you're afraid of to the things that will hang you up to basically every question you could have about your behavior, your ways, and that which makes you you.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met a you, meaning you or anyone else, who doesn't isn't a freak of some way, right? We're all because that's our individualism, right? That's
Yeah.
our individualistic nature.
Yeah.
By definition, it is a freak because it's only yours
Mm-hmm.
and it's got to come out into the plane and be shared with others. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is something that you would just everyone recognizes, and this is a diagnostic tool we get into a genetic level to show people that which is bubbling up from below and becoming ways of yours that you will live out, helplessly live out, um, that they come up to the surface and become these things. And it happens from deep below. So, throat on your chart, see at the top two centers, that's the head center and the ajna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definition here. A definition just means there's a colored in channel
Mm-hmm.
connecting the two centers. So this is the channel of logic. This is about becoming stimulated when you find you're always under pressure to doubt things, basically, and it's unconscious in you. So in the first part of your life, you learn, up till now, plenty of times you learn to wonder why do you doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pressure in you that guarantees thinking. It guarantees. So here's a mind that unconsciously never shuts off. And I heard you mentioning I finally made basically the voices in my head go away, is what you said. You
Mm-hmm.
said it more eloquently. And the only way to do that is to bring the generator, the manifesting generator, into the now. So
Mm-hmm.
when you were thumping away and making sound and recognizing that there was a vibration and a resonance between you and the sound that had healing effects, as soon as you're in that moment, there's no tomorrow, there's no yesterday in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only time the voice is shut off. The rest of the time, you have lots of stuff going on in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, by the way, it's not constant. Sometimes it shuts off because this is a design of mental clarity and then mental ease, a
Mm-hmm.
design of mental activity And it's always figuring. It's logical. It's looking into the future. It's putting things together. It's trying to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But these top two centers, look at, there's no connection to that throat box, that brown throat
Mm-hmm.
box below. So uh, our not self mind is constantly that. Yeah, this. If you notice the three white channels right at the bottom of the green center, the ajna,
Mm-hmm.
they're empty. There's no definition in there, no gates, no anything. That
Mm-hmm.
means there's a giant gap between what your mind is thinking and the formulas you're coming up with. There's a giant gap between that and being able to express it.
Mm-hmm.
This is, oh my God, I got ideas, I got things, I think I thought this through, and it doesn't express. This is you in a hermit cave, like it's suddenly coming up with an idea or a notion or something that seems logical that's going to be good for others, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
because the channel is all about mental activity that's meant to be shared. So here's an enthusiastic nature that must share, but unconsciously, your mind system doesn't always know how to get to the throat. And there's only one answer. It's always about the right timing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed nothing comes out right until it's in the right timing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I'd say nothing. Some things do,
Yeah.
get pulled over on the side of the road. Did you know you were speeding? And it's like, no, I had no. Okay. That's a little bit of mental work. I get that. That's a learned response, but all the rest of life, all the unique individual little mundane things and big things, they must go through the process of becoming understood and having a formula that seems logical. It always happens, it keeps happening, and it doesn't always get to the throat because the other isn't always there to ask you about it or to show an interest in it or to want to hear you finish saying your thing because they're not excited about what you're excited about. This is where the timing of the manifesting generator comes in. Based on what you said, I can make a guess that many times up until even now, you've had to learn to control the powerful little vocal bully inside of you that just keeps coming out now, keeps coming out now. But yeah, but you, someone says something, you say something back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Someone's in the middle of a sentence, you hurry them up because you already know what they're about to say, or you know
Mm-hmm.
what they're about to say isn't so great, and so you're already contradicting what they haven't said. Um, and it's a struggle inside of you, and it pours out in the now. Does this sound familiar, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever feel bad about that?
Well, I think that also with age, I tend to do that less now because I'm more
Less, of course,
self-aware of myself.
of
But
course.
absolutely, an earlier part of life, that definitely is what's happening.
Yes, this loud voice that just won't stop. That's the
Yeah.
3420 in you, that one black channel. It's a design of where awareness must become deed, and it's attached to the sacral.
Sacral.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that sacral is nothing but sustaining energy to do stuff,
Mm-hmm.
move things. It's the Incredible Hulk is might as well just call it the Incredible Sacral
So my
because
energy is supposed to be
it
sustainable. Like it's.
well, it does sustain. Your
Mm-hmm.
energy sustains as soon
Mm-hmm.
as you're into the thing. And as soon
Mm-hmm.
as here's the thing, and as soon as you're not into the thing, no matter how bad you struggle, you can't sustain your energy at it. That
Right.
corporate job was no good for you.
Oh yeah.
You,
No.
you only sustained because you were young and stupid.
Yeah.
Like me, when I did the corporate work, I did the loan officering. I was did at a corporation,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever you did, it was you didn't like it except for
Mm-hmm.
moments and
Mm-hmm.
money other than
Mm-hmm.
so. But this 3420 says, right now my power releases. 20 says, right now I'm saying or doing, period. I can't help it. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
design of awareness must become deed. But the mind system is cut off. And the awareness very often is what's going on in this pressure to come up with concepts that are logical formulas about something you can do.
So my mind is cut off right from the rest of the body because there's no channel that connects it.
Right. Correct.
And so how do I then, you know, like
Being a good generator. You adapt to all of this by two things. Being a good, and you already did do one of them when you found out that the sound quelled the voices, quelled all the
mm-hmm.
activity.
Mm-hmm.
And but the first thing you do is understand the strategy and authority of yours, which is to wait to respond.
Right.
So even though all the power in your body knows something,
Yes.
you always have an intuition that recognizes now wasn't the right timing. The
Mm-hmm.
other isn't receptive. I don't feel it. Basically, it's the
Yes.
body's intelligence outside of your mind.
Mm.
And, and it's the sacral intelligence that says, as an energetic response, out from me will pour truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not a mental concept.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a chemistry inside your body that is
Yes.
so fast that it spills the truth
Mm-hmm.
because your responsiveness pours the energy into that which you feel good about. Boom, that's true. That which
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a lot of energy for or don't respond into,
Mm-hmm.
um, is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is your truth. It's for me. It's not for me. It's good. It's not good. It's yes. It's no.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yes.
surrender. Yeah, it's a surrender into I got yes, I got no, I don't know. It's a binary where I don't know is just waiting to be yes or no. It just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And so really you have yes and no. It's no different than our computer code copied us sacral beings. The computer
Mm-hmm.
code copied so many things copy us.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the sacral is the ultimate duality. It only has truth when it's oriented like the follower in a dance.
Mm-hmm.
You put a classic, Hispanic man and woman together to do some kind of Latin salsa, something or other. Usually the guy leads. That's just
Mm-hmm.
sort of how the culture works, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then, but you can't tell because they're fun and they're both dancing lots of steps, and the music is playing for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
One is following.
Mm-hmm.
That means in that knee-jerk second, the lead will like motion, and the sacral responds and just follows. But if she doesn't like it, she's going to stop because the
Mm-hmm.
sacral has the power in the world to physically do the thing in
Mm-hmm.
response.
Mm-hmm.
So the big challenge for manifesting generators, because we think we're manifestors, is to recognize I'm not here to just go do. I'm here
Mm-hmm.
to wait to respond.
Right.
The client has an issue. In response, I know what sound to make. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that will keep coming through in you. And so it's hard for us because we want to do. and
Mm-hmm.
and like the Buddha that says, but no, child, you must wait to respond. It means we orient ourselves like a dog in the
Mm-hmm.
window that doesn't bark until another dog walks by.
Hmm. It's
And if
interesting about the hands. So, okay, come back to that because you picked
yep,
up on something on my chart about working with my hands.
yep, it's the busy environment that I see in the arrows.
That I was going to ask about the arrows.
I
Um,
can't get into them. There's too much, but this is
okay,
your cognition, and you're very strategic about your things. You're always strategically looking
okay,
at this and matching it with that, and strategically this and strategically that.
right.
Because that's not an active brain,
Yes.
strategically. Yeah. So there's you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's you. It makes you sometimes less receptive to the other. So,
Mm.
but back to your hands. I would have just gone off on a tangent. Not.
That's good. Um,
Hands. Look, but
yeah.
let's talk about it because the hands are the second pair of eyes for the generator, for all
Mm-hmm.
types, really. But our hands are our eyes. I mean, they're a second pair of eyes. We're always feeling our way through something. So as soon as you're manipulating something with your hands, doing something, whatever it is you're doing, you're brought now. And
Mm-hmm.
from right now is where the generator responds. I heard a sound. I'm responding. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I made something and now I'm responding with a follow up to something I just did because
Mm-hmm.
we're in constant response to anything that vibrates, which are other people, the atoms, the wind, the cat, everything, right? All of it
Mm-hmm.
around us.
Mm-hmm.
So in that responsive state, we always have the power to now do. We cannot become the manifester until we are in response. In response, out comes the power. The
Mm-hmm.
power is right because it feels good. These are all measurements you make, mental measurements you make in catalog. Felt good, didn't feel good, medium.
That's right. Yeah.
It's so stupid simple that sometimes only a child can understand it, is the
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the monkey mind gets in the way and tries to understand and tries to be an authority, meaning mental decision making. But the responder says there will be no peace in that. You will find no satisfaction and no lasting satisfaction, and you'll find no peace to yourself in any of that. You must literally be like someone says, "Hey, what's the scoop?" I don't know, something. That's true, unless you have something totally going on, and then the responder in you says, because the responder's whole life is about the right timing.
Mm,
Because it can't do anything until it's a response. We're dumb as rocks until we're in response to the thing. I love to call us generators. We're dumb generators. We don't know. It's something. And then suddenly out it all comes. And now your design that I can see here, the way it struggles for purpose and has a logical process and power in the now. This is a design of somebody who has to understand they don't know. They're not meant to know. But sooner or later, they find out that they suddenly do know.
mm, mm-hmm.
And that's what you've been finding out all along, thinking it was dumb luck when it's a giant process of chemistry going on inside of you that could have never quit. This is defiance after all. Defiance says, I not only go away, move in a way that is my own, but anybody who impedes that, I defy.
Mm.
You're a great big jerk as soon as something ain't right for you and everyone wants you to do something. It's like, you're so stubborn, you can't be defiant.
Hmm.
I want you to think this way. By the way, take away the big fat jerk.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, I
not.
understand.
It's
I
just
understand.
others might think that in a moment
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you stubborn, can't
Mm-hmm.
do, won't do, refuse, not gonna, can't.
Yeah.
And if the pressure comes in too much to make you do it, what does this hermit do in you? This 6'2" profile runs away and freaking hermits herself. I got four walls, I got a door, baby, I got blinds.
Yeah.
Um, and suddenly, as soon as the world is shut out, I got a question. Doing the work you do, so being sensitive to vibration and all, by now, you are one of the ones that when you go into a place, you turn it all off. Do you even turn your cell phone off? You turn it all off, do you?
What do you mean when I go
Your
where?
cell phone, your boom
Mm-hmm.
box, your headset, they're all, whatever they are, anything electronic is away from you. Do you do that?
Um,
I'm guessing that you do, but I don't know. I'm asking.
mm-hmm. You mean at times of the day? Oh, I.
Whenever you're bringing yourself present to do any kind of
Oh,
healing or work,
yes, 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 absolutely. Yeah, everything is off, and I try to just empty myself before.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So have you noticed that you've had a difficult time emptying the mind, making it physically stop?
Yes.
All right. So now you can know you're not supposed to. You have a guaranteed life force pressure that moves into this gate four from the 61, the 63,
Hmm.
which is the pressure to doubt.
I have
It's
the pressure to doubt.
you do, and you constantly doubt things, and you
Mm-hmm.
probably have to even check yourself about that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think it was too much?
What's that?
Doubting. I doubt too much. What's wrong with me? This is
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
so cool. Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and now you can know there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
literally, you can go back to all the times that might even feel a little traumatic because you felt a little stupid or whatever it was that you felt that you may be locked into and is stuck inside you, or you've been working on.
So my
Now you
design is to have that pressure to self doubt.
doubt and self-doubt. Oh, absolutely self-doubt. That's in the two open centers. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
talking doubt in general, be it self or out into the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just self-doubt, it's all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pressure to doubt that when you don't know it's there, you can suddenly wonder, start having doubts that the car will start up in the morning, that you know your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that the other person's going to show up, that it's going to work out,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that pressure is designed to create an awareness called a formula. We humans are formalizing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If this, then that. That the computer language is all about if this, then that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one simple way to state how formulas work, but you're always coming up with ingenious, creative little formulas in the now. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if
Yes.
there's no connection to the throat's going to tighten up in trying to manifest that formula into some form of reality, even if that reality is only to write it down on paper.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you can't even get it written down. It won't cycle the rest of the way through into manifestation.
Uh-huh.
That's a limitation to accept. That's nothing to fix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because every body graph has its limitations, which makes us unique so that we
Mm-hmm.
can fit in with all the other limited people who are unique, which is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Um, we've lost track of that a little bit. We've got to really hone that in as a species. So the pressure to doubt is actually normal. Your mind
Okay.
is not quite supposed to shut off. It's working for the rest of us. And by the way, only 30% of us will have these two centers lit up.
The two top ones.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
30% of humanity, sometimes less, depending on the group.
Has the two centers
Yep.
lit up.
Yep. That's exactly so. It's huge. Anybody with any of these three channels between these two centers are rare.
So
I
my
mean, not
mind is meant to be active.
totally. It's
Mm-hmm.
never meant to stop. Um, it's meant to have ease and then activity and then
Mm.
ease and activity. The ease is when you stop caring. The activity is when you suddenly care
Mm.
that what's going through. And you can't know what's true to care about until again you really settle into this responsive nature that just says and uh-huh to
Yeah,
whatever.
that's with my sacral.
Sacrals. I mean, most generators at least remember that when they've looked into their generator form, that the sacral says
Yeah.
or uh-huh.
Yes.
So when you were a kid and you were doing something, you couldn't take you away from it. You know, mama, come on, honey, are you done? And then suddenly maybe you're running around for a second and she yells out the window, you want some chocolate ice cream? You know, off you
Mm-hmm.
go. These things were true to the 4-year-old. And we
Mm-hmm.
lost track of that as time went by because as soon as we were old enough to speak in any kind of intelligent way, our parents slowed down asking us and they sped up telling us.
Mm.
And that cut us off from our nature. And they couldn't have known such a stupid, simple thing. Who doesn't want to tell their little boy how the bicycle chain works and how to, how to fix it?
Yeah.
Not if the kid doesn't want it. The question is,
Mm-hmm.
hey, do you want to learn how to do that? Do you want to see how it's done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you show them. Our parents stopped prefacing every little, hey, sometimes they would ask, are you hungry? You want to eat? But very
Mm-hmm.
often they just say, dinner's ready, eat.
Mm-hmm.
Never, not do you want to, do you want to do you want to clean your room? You know, by the time we're 5 and 6, they stopped asking us that for sure, if they ever did. And they told us to, is the point. Do your homework, be a good girl, all of that. But you have a responsive nature that's so fast that the only way I can show it to you is to have you show it to yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I know I want to say some things about the 6-2 profile, that that it's a hermit and that's some things, but more importantly, I want you to see the generative life force at work.
Mm-hmm.
But I only you can show it to yourself. So if I pick a topic, say the work you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
inside of being mom, with how old are your kids?
12 and 15.
Do they ever annoy you?
Never.
Another question. Okay, so I'm gonna pack some of these things into
Mm-hmm.
into some questions.
Mm-hmm.
And is this what you do for work? Like you have clients, some, and
Yes.
you do this for? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, would you say it's going well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna ask you some yes or no questions, and the trick for you: empty your mind or
Mm.
fill it up, doesn't matter, and just surrender into a no think responsive state. The urge will be to qualify everything you say. That'll be a slight urge. Yeah, because blah, blah, blah. But I just want yes or no, or I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know is a deep place because you're really just, maybe is an answer. Um, so did you like your corporate job?
No.
Did you want to quit your corporate job?
Yes.
All right. Were you happy when you finally let it go?
Yes.
Were you happy immediately the second you knew it was behind you?
Yes.
Do you remember that feeling?
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you come to figure out that corporate jobs really aren't for humans, basically?
Yes.
I mean, essentially, that's what's true.
Yes.
Were you afraid
Of quitting?
of quitting?
Yes.
Okay. Was that hard to answer?
Uh, was it hard to?
Was that personally difficult, a difficult thing to admit?
I was just trying. I kind of was just trying to remember that. Was I afraid? And I was
At the
just trying to
time you left
remember.
that, as you were
Yeah,
leaving that job,
because that's a while ago. So yeah.
oh, okay, it was a while ago. I'm bringing back. Okay,
Mm.
but so you managed to make your way,
Mm-hmm.
materially speaking. Do you have enough clients? Do you like your business now?
I like my business and I'd like more clients.
Um, are you supposed to go out and get more clients?
I'm supposed to, yes.
Are you sure of that answer?
I'm sure. Am I sure of that answer? Well, that's what we're
It's
supposed to do.
happening. What I'm getting you to see is
Ah,
there's a small disconnect of time. It's like you're old, you're 75. So remember, we had a skip in the record. It
yeah.
ruined that little section, but we lived with it, right? How long did that skip in the record last? A tenth of a second, usually, right? Just a skip. That's not very long, but you can't miss it. And now we're getting you to be at the same spot where you can't miss it. I have a responsive nature that's super fast. And the mind comes in and clogs me with doubt and
It's
anxiety,
true.
right? Mental anxiety, a pressured, because it's under pressure,
Yes.
a pressurized mental anxiety that almost locks me into paralysis for a
Yes.
split second,
Yes.
right? Now, I can't diagnose that about you unless I'm looking at this, A. And B, that's your mind. Your mind cannot tell you the truth. It can only make measurements about the truth after the truth has been delivered in response. And it's so short, that time between mind getting, because mind's fast, gets involved, but sacral is lightning because it's electricity, it's chemistry. The chemistry in the body absorbed the stimuli, my question coming in, and had an immediate response. At the speed a flashlight is turned on by the battery.
That was good.
Yeah, it's super fast.
I'm
You know what
getting
I
it.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But the mind is slower.
Yes,
It's just wicked
totally.
slow
Yeah.
comparatively. You have to learn to see it so that you can see, oh my God, I slipped into mind again.
Right.
That's why I have mental turmoil right now, even if it's only a
Yes.
second of it.
Yes.
You need to start seeing it on the mundane things, do I need more sugar in my coffee or whatever? Silly little things, because you're going to struggle with everything. It's how you're meant to be. And you need to see it on the medium things and the big things and learn to love it because it keeps telling you what's true. And it's a little terrifying because it means we don't really get to know where the power truly is truthful for us until it happens. So it is a big surrender for us. A couple more questions. Is there anything you might like me to ask you about so you can see what's true for yourself? Anything you can
I
think of?
had something, but I forgot already.
Yeah,
Keeps
that happens.
the only thing that's popping up in my mind now is wanting to understand the G center, but I don't know if that's necessary. If you think there's something important, but there was another question, maybe related to my work. I don't remember now. I forgot.
Okay, all good. I'm going to go back to that moment. So you found your material where, oh, you want to have more clients. That's where we left off. So you'd love to have. So as a generator, that's supposed to do, that's manifestor talk.
Uh
Just
huh.
simply in response to the day, your best thing to respond to will be the formula inside your head that suddenly moves you. Does that happen to you sometimes?
You mean inspired action?
Yep. Inspired
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. I try to move with inspired action.
So suddenly, and it very often comes as a feeling in your gut and or a mental concept that you just made a loose formula to, some kind of thing that's taking shape. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Yeah. Because as we're talking, I'm realizing all these flashbacks of all the jobs either I've had, whether in corporate or the connections I've had. And I just got a new recent opportunity, and everything has come to me for me to respond to everything. Even
That's you
yeah,
settling in. That's you
everything.
settling in. As soon as you stopped manifesting, trying to be a manifester,
Right. Even this house. Actually, this is a new home I'm living in, and it came to me. I turned it down like two times, and then the third time it came around. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to buy this thing. So you're highlighting for me, really underscoring. I have to stop trying to manifest because I just need. Which I kind of know this, but then you forget because you gotta.
that's the conditioning. We were conditioned.
Yes,
As soon as our
conditioned. Yeah,
parents stopped asking us religiously before every last thing, like right up until we're 14, so we're so used to it
yeah,
that we wouldn't dare let anybody else hijack our energy without asking our permission first.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't know to do that. And it causes us to be the manifestor's supposed to do that. That's Moana. Let her do that. She'll.
She's like, yeah. So as a manifesting generator, you're still supposed to be waiting for the invitation and respond and
It's yeah. It can feel like an invitation sometimes, but it's really just the stimuli, and you only notice it as the body is now willing to move or the mouth is now willing to speak.
that inspired movement.
That inspired speech or action, articulation, movement, thing, whatever combination. Um, and inspired is a great way to put it because this top center in your body graph is the channel is excuse me, it's about inspiration.
Which one?
The head center.
Okay.
It is the center of inspiration. It is channeling through the
And I have
pineal
a
gland.
and I have one line there, red, right?
Yep, it's
So
red. So
there's
it's unconscious in you, meaning you don't have direct access to it. You had to figure out this was something in you. You had to do all kinds of other things to quiet it down because you didn't have direct access to it.
I see.
Whereas the little, I always call this 3420, there's some form of a bully inside of that because this is just pure power now. That's the keynote for this. And so it sometimes feels a little, strong. I call it the bully. Um, Not a bad bully. It's just got energy that's going to crash its way out. But you were aware that, oh my God, I'm too involved in speeding up the whole thing. And you willingly, mentally went through a process of working on that, recognizing to let it slow down. You noticed when you did slow down with interrupting people and saying this and having that booming thing that just had to always come out. Um, that was a process for you. You were mentally aware that you were in that process. That's because that channel's the black stuff in our body graph, the black gates and channels are conscious. They're on the quote
Okay.
personality side.
Okay.
And all the red stuff is unconscious. It's on the design side, which means the body. They're all a chemistry. It's just that one meets up with our personality and we sort of have access to it. Yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy as hell. I'll go do this thing or whatever if you're into it. You know that about you. And the red stuff, you just sort of have to come to learn it. Or I promise you, your husband told you about it. Others tell you about it. Your husband is one of your great teachers, whether he tries to or not, because he tells you things that you didn't know about yourself, which you stubbornly go back to, say, nah, until finally later you say, well, yeah, okay, uh-huh. And then, this is a beautiful process for you. You're supposed to do it's defiant. It's okay. If it's important, you saw it in the moment, you'll see it in the moment. But people tell you things in the now plenty of times, and you're like, uh-uh.
Yeah.
And then a little while later, well, I mean, uh-huh. There's nothing. That is a process of deep learning.
Right.
Now you just get to say, well, but that might be superficial. You can simply say to the other, because you don't know. And they'll
Yeah.
ask, oh, are you sure? And they'll be like, well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll find out over time.
Yeah, I
The
find that hard with invitations to go places. Like, I find it very hard to commit because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to go. I have to see
right.
how I feel the day before that day,
That's maybe even moments before, because
moments before.
that's true, because that was the child's life. As a generator, up until the time we're old and gray, up until the time we're not here anymore, we have to learn to recognize the 4-year-old is always correct. The 4-year-old inside of us is the only truthful, honest thing that will give us what we are supposed to be. Only.
Right.
Everything else will give us smidgens or miles of misery, one or the other. Um, I don't even want smidgens of misery anymore. And I still try to manifest. I'm 17 years in this thing, and I'm still, is it 17? It's whatever. It's a lot, and I've lost track, and I'm still trying to at times. I still have to hold myself back. Um, so does anything arise as a question? I got you to see the distance between mental pain and
It was
truthful response.
that was good.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So is there anything before I move on to something else?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The things that take you away. Okay. Two things. First of all, this definition that you have is called a triple split. The head and ajna, the brain stuff, mental, is separated from that throat center and that sacral.
Yeah.
See, those things are all connected. And then down below you have a spleen and a root center, and they're split off as well. So there's three separate things always having to snake through before you know anything. Meaning people, why is she so slow? She's so fast. She's always so fast, but suddenly she's so, what
So
happened? Does this
it's
sound
so.
familiar?
I know. I feel like I can be fast in a lot of things. And then the other day I said to someone, but I'm a turtle.
You are a turtle because dude, it's an inchworm. It's one side moves, another thing moves. It's constantly, its body is centipede, constantly catching up
Mm,
to itself. And
mm,
so this is hard for you because you've got the second line in your profile, that hermit in you doesn't always want to do things. It just wants people to leave it alone.
yes,
Leave me alone. Don't try to influence me, says the second line.
that's right.
It's busy with magic. It's busy with all the possibilities, and it's
Yeah.
busy with its eureka moments that we need our second lines to be un uninfluenced, so
Mm,
that in those moments that the natural comes out and sees things that it can see clearly. If we've
mm-hmm,
been influencing the natural, it doesn't see anymore, and then we don't get its natural.
mm-hmm.
That was you in the corporate world in the beginning. Everyone was trying to tell you how you could be this way, and you can be that way, and you can be this way, and look at your
Yeah.
corporation. Here's how you advance, and here's you trying to
Yeah.
manifest your own advancement
Yeah.
to your chagrin and hatred over sooner or later. You know what I mean? And everyone's influencing. You're letting them influence you, and then you go home and you don't want to be influenced. Then you wondered why you did, and then finally you burnt out because none of that was right for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is that about the process that took? Do you remember that process in the
Yeah.
beginning? Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you've got all these splits in your body graph, um, you can go out and take what would be, I call, an auric shower. You physically move into the aura of others that you don't know, the public aura. That means you run to Starbucks. If you go shopping or you have a shop that's close enough to you, you go pick up something every day instead of only once a week, which is hard. You got kids. I don't know how you're going to do this. Your kids do it for you too. Yeah, I mean, there's the hermit in you wants to be away from everybody sometimes when you can,
Yes.
and then but you can't help it, and so you move through their aura, and it becomes all I'm getting at is you're very comfortable when you go out to eat and or out to do something when you felt like it. So getting out into the public aura several times a week is gonna you'll notice it is cleansing to simply go somewhere,
And
and as people are
why is that? Sorry.
because people bridge all of these they
Oh, because of
pull
my
you
splits.
together.
Oh,
The
okay.
splits get pulled into one and you become this one thing. And tell me, is it true when sometimes you're just, the energy that's locked up in our fingers and then we finally
Yes.
crack our, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably called something. I bet you know what it is, but it's there. That's what you're doing. As soon as you go out into the world, you're suddenly cracking all the little joints because
Oh,
people are pulling all of your splits together.
that's so interesting because I often find that because I work from home and I have my own schedule, I can go to the grocery store, for example, or run errands when I need to.
Right.
And I tend to do them during the week. I don't like crowds, so I stay away from any of those things on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true what you're saying that I can get, kind of like, ugh, like being inside and I need
Mm-hmm.
to just get outside. And then the moment I go to just the simple thing of going to the grocery store
That's it.
and I'm saying hello to a few people, smiling, and just having a good time, basically, when I go to the grocery store, because, you see these same people and you say, hello, how are you? How's your day? Yada, yada, conversations start up. That I always come home and I feel so great. I leave and I feel so great. And it feels
Right.
great.
Now
and,
you
and
know.
I noticed I need that. I need to get out
Now
every
you know
once.
it's a mechanic. It's a
Mm,
diagnosable mechanic. So I got a colicky child with a triple split, and I can't figure out what's going on. Walk them on your grocery trip with you each day or every
mm,
twice a week, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Of
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
diagnosis wise, and this would have occurred to you that you realized, oh, this is something that I guess I need to do. I like it. Um, but it would have occurred to you like a ton of bricks. Is that true?
What do
Like
you
one
mean?
day you just noticed, oh, I do need
Oh, yeah,
this.
yeah. I noticed that for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That would be the fact that of the three places of definition, only one of them is conscious. All the other two, the
Mm,
spleen to the root, totally unconscious.
mm-hmm,
The head to the ajna, totally unconscious.
mm-hmm.
And that means these things are basically recognizing you need to be in the public aura, waiting for the manifesting generator part of you to get into a rhythm that figures it out.
Oh, I just remembered a question. I just remembered. Is there in my chart, is it, for lack of a better description, is it set up that I am supposed to be like a leader and leading people? Not like major, but because,
Essentially, I would go yes with that because two things. Do you want to finish out your question? Do you have more to flesh out?
no?
I cut you off. I'm just like you, by the way.
Well, I know,
I
I
act,
noticed.
yeah.
Not
Oops.
exactly, but
Well, I have the 3420 and the channel of rhythm, the 15.5, just like you do. And
okay.
I have head definition just like you do, but it's on the other side.
Uh,
And, and so the, you are
okay.
just but the thing is, the leadership has to be voted on. You have to be called.
Mm, right.
If you force the leadership, it won't work. You've already tried that
Hmm.
by now
That
in
makes
your life.
sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, because people want your defiance provides direction.
Mm,
I mean, that's something that's just true. And it, again, defiance is a very colorful thing and it's got many different shades and it's sophisticated and it's subtle.
yeah.
It's not just a defiant person, obstinate. It's
Hmm.
defiance is actually a refining process.
Mm,
Again, this is left angle stuff, meaning it's designed to look out over the rest. So
hmm.
you're always sort of looking out over society, saying what's going to be better for this, what's going to be better for that. In fact, you notice lots of stuff. And when that energy comes to you, then you can lead.
I see. Okay.
Have you seen it work out that way?
Yes, I've noticed that it seems it's not for me to create a whole thing and start leading. It's more like I'm being asked or I'm being invited or yeah.
Someone's noticing, or you bump into
Yeah.
something in a moment's time where it ended up that way.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you just sort of bump into it. And that's definitely been a theme and for a long time. So short answer, yes, but only in a very finessed way. Because defiance is looking for the finesse of it's got to move in the right direction towards some form of beauty. And you've got a very limited, narrow window. Have you noticed how narrow your scope is willing to entertain almost anything?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever thought that that's just like you're stuck up, or you ever thought that was not such a good thing? Because I opened up the book to the line so I could read it. The
Mm,
receptive, your son, gate 2.6 in the personality.
mm,
This is like, if you want to do, if you're ever going to only do one thing on the human design chart, you didn't read the sun or the sun and the earth, anyways, on the
right.
personality side. That is just so powerful to go to.
Hmm.
It's about being receptive, the direction of the self towards the aesthetic pursuit of things that are easier and better. And exactly the question, you pick the right question to struggle with. I mean, just like this whole thing, you said the one that stood out to you was people having what was the thing? The belief that life is hard.
Hmm. Yes.
I was sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, life is hard. Yeah, it's not hard." I was sitting there totally agreeing. It's like it can be really hard. And then I was starting to think before you even got to it, like, it's not really supposed to be that hard. Life's supposed to be abundant. And I'm sort of thinking, and then suddenly you come up with, no, it's not supposed to be, and you start doing the thing.
Hmm.
You pick the perfect thing
Hmm.
because the channel of struggle in a person's body graphs makes life hard.
Hmm.
It's deaf to the other half the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
It's on its own little thing. And
Hmm.
it's supposed to be that way. No one better to enthusiastically be able to tell us in the now with a great deal of power of a foundational truth that it's not supposed to be.
Hmm.
You're designed to smash that foundation, that truth into society as a foundation,
Hmm.
um, just in response to the work you do.
Hmm.
We're here to move in a direction towards love and beauty,
Hmm.
period. I mean,
Hmm.
that's like a sort of bottom line thing you could put into it as an axiom. I've
Yeah.
got it as a generator. Uh, the kid is always right. Just count on it. The 4 year old, if it says that's true.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't mean you can listen to it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in a life. You got to go do the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least you can pay attention. But it wasn't true.
Hmm.
I didn't want to really do that, and you can know that it's true. You didn't want to. You have to start seeing it. Seeing it fixes it. That's the second axiom.
Mm.
And I already forgot what the third one was going to be. Um, and I just said it. So, anyways, gate two. Oh yeah, that life is up is fulfilled by moving our love in a direction towards more beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And I could call that a mathematical formula you could pretty much count on. This receptive capacity you have has been drowned out by this manifesting capacity you have to be so fast.
Right.
So you have to learn, you've already seen it. The great receptive in you was so receptive as a driving force that through your narrow view that you decided to narrow down to, you felt your knee get better. No
Yeah.
one would have put that together. Only you would have put that together, and maybe two other people on all of planet Earth at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe no one else.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads like this: fixation. Um, Sometimes unable, sometimes unwilling to even see the whole picture, and a life process that learns to know when it needs to see the whole picture because the rest of the time it doesn't care to feel the whole picture. Me reading this chart for you is a struggle. I mean, even now, because there'll be things inside of you that'll be like, my narrow window is expanded too much.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that's funny.
That's so funny. My classic question: did you ever feel bad about that?
About
About just that this narrowing you got, because that narrowing would have cut other people off sometimes in your
right,
life.
right. No, I don't
Yes,
feel bad.
good, good for you. Good generator. That was a generated answer. I don't know if
Good.
you noticed it.
No.
So this fixation is it's this knowing that becomes a knowing, a sudden knowing that is narrow in what it is receptive to. It's narrowly, but highly receptive, narrowly knowing for the sake of whatever it is you're going to pick for a direction. It doesn't mean you're not expansive everywhere else,
Mm,
but you do get pulled into this narrowing down,
mm,
and it's supposed to be that way. And the thing is, it's marked with gate one, line six, also on the personality side. And this is the ultimate administrator, ultimately, that has the objectivity. So basically, the ultimate receptive of gate two meets the ultimate primal force of gate one. This is yin and yang, by the way. This
mm,
is yin and yang, and you have them both. Gate one on the top of the G center says, I am the primal force of creativity when it happens, and I am subject to its will. I cannot subject it to mine. Creativity comes in a pulse. And when
mm,
it does, that primal force is then moved in a direction by gate two. And both of these things have to be towards beauty. So on one end, you've got a narrowing perspective. And on the other end, just as it relates to that which you'll be creative with. And on the other side, you have objectivity, clear assessment, clarity in the creative expression. So you always have this process where you're uncertain, you're uncertain, you're uncertain. I'm clear,
mm.
and it shows up as a pulse.
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's
true.
right.
It's just funny. I'm sorry. Because
No, what?
it's funny because even actually just taking a snapshot of the sound toys, it started with a drum, and then the things added, and it was uncertain, 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 uncertain. Like, why am I buying these things? What am I doing with these things, right? And then it became, oh, now I do sound baths. Then it happened.
Listen to these names. These again, the Chinese I Ching 5,400 years ago. They're the ones that came up with essentially the foundation of these names.
Right.
I mean, not even essentially, literally, the
Yeah.
foundation. These names, the creative, the self-expression of the primal force of the creative pulse. So the
Mm.
creative. That's gate one. Gate two, the receptive. So the creative is all yang and the receptive is all yin. It's open. And the receptive is a direction that can't help but to express itself as a primal force. But the primal force of that expression is in a pulse. It's like
Mm-hmm.
magic.
Mm-hmm.
It meets the definition of creation, right? God said, let there be light, right? So bam. So all the time before, no light, now there's light.
Yeah.
Same here. What am I buying all these things for? I don't know. Bam. Now I
Yeah.
know. Look at each event like a supernova or a Big Bang, because that's what they are. By the way, the 4-year-old in you loved that shit. She couldn't get enough. And
Mm.
so it kept you moving in this direction and then in that direction and then in this direction like a freak. And your parents would be like, she's so into the thing. She's so into the next new thing. And it
you,
was,
you know what? My 15-year-old son, who he said this even he was 14 or 13, he said, he every once in a while he's like, "Oh, so you're not into that anymore? Or what are you? Are you not into that anymore?" He'll every once in a while I get that. So you're not into that anymore, eh? You're not doing that anymore?
okay, well, again, we really have to self-analyze. Did you ever feel bad about that? Did you ever?
No, I because since I found this,
Okay,
four years or 5 years ago, it
right.
made me realize I'm not crazy. So
You're
I
not.
totally no, I once I found human design when I did, it explained a lot. So no, when I get those comments now, I'm like, whatever, that's who I am. I don't really care.
Right.
So
That's I'm supposed to be that way.
yeah,
Think of how it weeds out the people that are no good for you. It doesn't make them bad. They're not
yeah,
bad. Even if they're jerks, it's not their fault. They're
yeah,
helpless too.
yeah,
Um, but it weeds them out
yeah.
so that they're not the primary driving force. Defiance has a very particular narrowed field of who is going to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it still might be hundreds of people, but they're going to fit a narrow description.
Yeah.
They're going to, and part of that description is they have to love you the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because in your defiance, you've already figured out I would have to love them the way they are, or else I can't really hang around them that much.
Right.
So you've already figured that out, is the thing, because you've got all these deep processes going on. Couple last things that I'll point to for now, and going
The
back to
open centers are the white ones?
the white ones.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm tying this in with the triple split a little bit. So the triple split itself doesn't know it has this sense of looking at the other for something that's wrong.
Mm.
In our not self live as we're being conditioned in our corporate world, living out what we're now living out what we're not. And we're
Mm-hmm.
always at conflict. And it's the triple split definition very often looks around at other things for fault in
Mm.
what's wrong going on. And it's just a natural process. The thing is, every time you went to look inward, it would have been hard. So I'm guessing you had a spell in your life where it was hard to look inward and it was easier to look outward. It's because of them. It's because of this. It's because of that.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was hard to look inward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and guess that a lot of this work was your becoming defiant to even that and saying, F this, I'm going to look inward.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the line, you said, I don't care. I'm looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where your journey really started. Was that a moment in time you can recall ish or a spell or a phase?
Yes, I think when I turned 40,
Okay.
there was a
Yeah.
moment.
The
Mm-hmm.
midpoint. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opposition of of your planet Uranus. It's an important spot. We really enter into a lot of life at 40, and between 40 and 50, we're really going to school. And around
Mm.
50, we just flower and shine. And
Yay!
I just detailed the plight of your sixth line, by the way,
Oh yeah.
that process. But again, these two open centers, we already know the triple split sometimes looks outward for a reason.
Mm.
Um, but inward is where the truth is, especially when you're a generator. The open ego has a theme. It does want to control things. You've had problems in your life figuring out you're not in control of shit. I mean, there are plenty of things that you're not in
Yeah.
control of. And this has been hard at times
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we were reading. We were reading 21 and 48
Mm. Yeah.
for the transit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this gate itself, if you don't know what it is, intermittently you come into what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes out of this. Why am I not
Right.
good enough? How come the other person does it better than I did it?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
come all the stuff we tell ourselves, self-doubt. Oh, it's my turn to speak. I got to speak. My mind is separate from my throat. What am I going to say? I have to think of what I'm going to say. Boom, you're stuck saying nothing.
Yeah.
You were about to say something?
Yeah. I just there's a lot of things that you're revealing, but a big one for me today is about the throat, being disconnected from
Yep.
the head. I've seen
The
this
only
before.
bridge.
I've seen this before, but today, and I guess because of different life experiences now since the last time that I saw this, and it didn't really resonate. But
Right.
now it's it's really resonating because I do get challenged at times of thinking. There's a bit of feedback. I guess it's me.
I don't hear it.
You know, okay, good. I put this down maybe.
You do get challenged.
I get challenged because where we feel we have to say things so perfectly and so articulate and all that. And in recent years, like let's say the last 2 years, is more and more, you know, the deeper I do work with clients, the deeper I go into myself, of course, right? And what I've come to accept about myself is that there are times where I just can't articulate it the way I've heard someone else, but I know I feel it and I know what I know. And I've come to an understanding like I don't give a fuck anymore that
Right,
say it
right.
I don't say it perfectly because I can feel it. And what I've been trying to understand about this with my current work with clients is there are times when, you know, I'm in front of a client and, you know, people got all sorts of shit going on in their life and there's so much going on and it can be overwhelming, right, to hear it all. And then my system is trying to kind of like there's two things going on. Oh my god, this is like I'm having a light bulb moment now that you've said all this because it explains what happens for me when I'm in session, which is there's this part of me that wants to go figure it out, and then there's this part of me that knows exactly what the person needs and how to like energetically be there for them. and
Definitely.
and there's like this disconnect going in my body, and at some point I have to settle my mind and just tell my mind actually to go take a back seat, and I actually usually go tell it to go downstairs and go lay on the bed. I just
Right.
tell my active mind, you just my ego, just you can go down there, and I settle into just my body. And then eventually what comes forward, you know, is this intuitiveness of whatever it is that the client needs. And then that's when those sessions with clients are like magic because, you know,
Magic.
what came
Yep.
out, I'm like, I don't even know where that shit came out of. But it was when I I literally told the mind to just go somewhere else. But I have felt this literal
Yep.
conflict and like push and pull within my body. And this explains it all right now. I'm like,
Explains
oh,
it.
that's
Yeah.
just what's going on.
Right. And they're unconscious processes. So when it's red and they're unconscious, it means they just show up.
Yeah.
They just show up. Just like they come out of, they emerge out of a tunnel. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have conscious access until it shows up and you're
Yeah.
seeking it or thinking it. And by the way, you can even finesse that. You tell it to go downstairs and take a nap or stuff. But now you can just say, hey, wait your turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait your turn, or
Yeah.
whatever works for you to get it gone. Do you notice that the mental stuff as it comes in, it's like, I think I want to solve this person's issue.
Yes.
So
And it
that starts.
pisses me off because I don't want to solve the
You
issue.
don't want to solve it. You want to be it and be in it.
Yes.
Right. Right. Of course you, because that's where all the talent is. That's where the enthusiasm is the juice is always in the now for us.
Yes. Yes.
So now you can start to see that the mental stuff that shows up is pressury, nebulous,
Yeah.
uncertain. It doesn't have an articulate way, and the force of just the knowing what to do is forceful. It can't articulate itself, but it's got going on.
Mhm.
It's sure got that, and you can't seem to. You almost have to try and stop it to let the mind have a moment. Now you
Yeah.
can be like, mind, you don't got a chance. Wait your turn, buddy, and it'll come back. It'll
Yeah.
come back with the formula afterwards.
Yeah.
Is the beauty.
Wow. Oh my God. Because I've struggled with this in like the last couple of years of not struggle is a strong word, but you know, there's the judgment, there's the self doubt when I finish a call, and I'm like, why do I have to feel this push and pull within myself, like, you know, and I've not understood of why it feels hard, like why there literally does feel like this pressure inside from the mind, and then there's such a knowingness though inside me, right? Like there always is, like I just
So
know that,
suddenly, too. Suddenly, if you try and
and
think about the
suddenly
knowingness, you can't access it. I can't access my knowing. Where'd it go?
no, no.
It's waiting. It's waiting for you to
Yeah.
get present into the now, and then it's there infinitely
Yes.
ish. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So open ego stops you from all of that easily because it's always trying to prove it can do the work, prove it can do it better, prove it to itself. It's all about proving it'll keep a commitment, prove it will commit. That's why you
Mhm.
can't tell your friends if you're going to go someplace. You have an undefined ego like 65 to 70%, 65% of us.
Mhm.
I have an open ego. I don't know. I do have to make commitments now and again, and I have to get a real running start to those commitments. You know what I mean? I have to try. That's
Yeah.
probably healthy for us that that happens now and again,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but regardless, it's not up for us to commit. It's not up for us to say, I will. The ego
Yeah.
is the will center, or I promise, or definitely. It's up to us to not prove anything. If you
Mhm.
have an open ego, you've got nothing to prove.
Mhm.
And that's not easy to tell somebody and have you actually believe that.
Mhm.
But does your husband have a defined ego by chance?
We're not together anymore. So
Oh, okay, okay. Well, your kids, I don't know if you looked at their charts, but either
it's been,
way,
yeah.
wherever you see a defined ego, 35% of the planet, wherever you see that, it's their job to go define stuff. It's their job to prove it. Let them
Mhm.
prove it.
Mhm.
Ways you can know that your open ego doesn't need to prove it is you don't get a reward. Every time you kill it and do the crazy ass cool thing, right? And your right now was so defiant to the defiances of the right now. Part of the defiance is this. You're a defiant to the after or the before because right now is where the truth
Mhm.
is. I
Mhm.
defy the monkey mind. Go take a break. I
Right.
defy later. I defy early. And suddenly, in your defiance, you run a direction towards the beauty of what that person needs. It's
Right.
an incredible yin yang force. It's always the yin yang creates. It's a creative force,
Mhm.
constantly creating on its own timing, at its own way, and its own pulse.
Yeah.
Yet, no matter how good you do, and that was so good, and I love that, and I killed it, and they killed, we did it.
Mhm.
Um, you take that with you that evening. It feels good. Mostly. You're not really patting yourself on the back too hard. You're not running
Yeah.
out to brag about it to anybody, or maybe you want to
Yeah.
share it with somebody. But
Yeah.
as soon as it becomes braggy and you even hear yourself saying,
Yeah.
brag, it doesn't feel right.
That's right.
Yeah, and by the next day, you sort of, I mean, you remember it, it's there, it's great, but it's you're not carrying it as this reward that puts all this extra energy and bounce in your step. You're busy with something else now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It may put bounce in your step because you remember it, but it's
Yes.
not consistently, moment by moment, for the next 2 weeks, putting all that extra bounce in your step.
Yes. Yes.
That's because you got
Mhm.
nothing to prove.
That's right.
If you had a defined ego, it would put more bounce in your step for up to the next year. I still did that thing. My other thing I did last year, Charlie.
Mhm.
Remember? Pat me on the back because I killed it. Let the ego people have that.
That
That's what
they have a defined ego when they're like that.
defined ego. They need to prove it. They need to do the thing. They need to feel the value that the value is valued. They need to
Yeah.
keep a commitment even if they don't want to do it because it might do something
Right.
stuff and so they
And
will keep.
I don't care about any of that.
You don't even care. You're too busy with your narrow window. You just love the narrow window. By the way, if you ever start dating again, maybe come up with a little strategic checklist and see if they fit into that narrow window. You
Yeah,
know, but or ask them if they don't mind fitting into a narrow window. But
yeah, yeah.
but ego people, pat them on the back. The
Mhm.
thing is, we're used to feeling less because an ego person suddenly showed us how they feel more.
Mhm, mhm,
More great, more this, more whatever. They're a
mhm.
better day trader. They made a better trade. They made more money. They played the piano better, whatever.
Yeah.
And that suddenly strings and twangs a string inside of us that says, oh God, that means I feel less.
Mhm,
And we
mhm,
start mentally playing with it. And it's who we're not. Got nothing to
mhm.
prove. Ego people do. Make sure you pat them on the back and let them roar. They love to roar when
Right,
they
right,
encourage it.
right.
It's and dude, you just tell ego people how much you appreciate what they do, and that's almost enough to like carry the day. You could probably
Mm.
survive a whole marriage just on that one piece of advice. You know what I'm saying? As a joking way to put it.
Yeah,
Um, so I got nothing to prove, and
yeah,
it's a hard place to be, but it's true. Just
yeah.
well, why aren't
Mhm.
you getting the thing? I don't know because I got nothing to prove. Why can't you commit to the thing? Just tell I need to know by Monday. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to prove it by Monday that I do or don't.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
So, and you'll come up with your creative ways to say that. Now,
Mhm.
the second open center, this open solar plex center, this is hard. It's just plain hard to deal with. You and I both have both these centers open. I have an open solar plex as well. And it avoids confrontation.
Mm.
And it finds maniacally clever ways in its open ego to not want to have the confrontation in the first place,
Mhm.
to avoid any possible confrontation
Yeah.
through words, through being fast. How about the old, no, 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 I'm not doing that, gotta go. Just because you can see it. And it becomes suddenly a feeling bad about our own self because we didn't face the confrontation. And what it really is this, again, this is all the not self. The conditioning made it start working this way.
Mhm.
Like the open ego is just open to what's worth proving.
Mhm.
You and I, as manifesting generators, we prove tons of stuff all the time. But it's
Mhm.
not because of an ego, it's because we were empowered. And right now, the generator generated the proof that proved it. We're
Mhm.
almost surprised as they are,
Mhm.
you know, at that moment. Same thing with the solar plex center. We're not here to necessarily have the confrontation or not. We're here to stop avoiding our truth through the lack of confrontation when some kind of confrontation didn't matter because we didn't have to prove anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not self themes. I don't have to prove anything, nor if I have to fear the confrontation. We avoid so many little things. Oh, I don't want to feel this way. Oh, that person said this. Oh, I'm going to be a little quiet. I don't want them to wake up. Oh, this, oh, that. Just so, right? A
Yeah.
thousand little things. And it's avoiding confrontation and truth.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's not big truth, you know that the sky is blue. It's little, like grains of sand. This
Mhm.
little, like, I should have said that. I should have told him this, and you didn't. I should have said the thing. Felt too confrontational. They start adding up. And like if you add up enough grains of sand, you're on a beach of your own denied truth
Yeah.
because the generator had a response that was true. The fear of this center crept in and said, no, you're afraid of that. Don't say it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's avoiding the confrontation of your own truth.
Mhm. Mhm.
The defiant in you knows how to overcome that as you start to live out this strategy and authority more because you can't, this stuff will remain mostly as just words until you take it in deeply and recognize I have to watch this responsive nature. It always pours out the truth. I have to learn to see it so fully so I can see how mine gets in the way. And as
Right.
soon as you're honoring that strategy, and the authority is the sacral that just says, and it's got a lot of wisdom, dude. You got a lot of, you have a lot of awareness center activation going on.
Mm.
And so you are hyper aware. You're always aware right now. In fact, you're the person that's always saying, oh, I knew it.
I just don't say it out loud anymore.
There you go. You could. In an awake community, we'd be like, "Oh, she found out again," because we'd all know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, "Oh, good, she found. What'd you find out, dude? What, dude?" Because now we want to know. It has wicked value what you find out.
Uh-huh.
Um, so avoiding confrontation and truth, feeling less than worthy,
Mhm.
feeling less than worthy because we avoided the confrontation and our truth. You see
Right.
how these things cycle? They're a
Yeah.
little vicious spiraling on each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
You're not. That's who you're not, and
Yeah,
it keeps you away from your nature, and you don't care.
yeah.
You're going to find out you don't care who proves what or what you can do. You don't
Mhm.
want to ever care about it.
Mhm.
And every time you care about it, it's like, fuck, I hate this. And the little kid knew if I asked the little 4-year-old, I was like, hey, do you even want to care about this?
Yeah.
Because that
Exactly.
would that would be true. So
Yeah.
start giving yourself permission now to not care. It's not be careless. It's not care
Yeah.
about others. It's not
Yeah.
have our beautiful nine-centered love for all of humanity, right? We want our
Mhm.
brothers and sisters to wake up.
Mhm, mhm.
About your stupid little things that are stupid little things that you don't want to care about no more.
That's right. That's right.
You already don't care.
Yeah,
That's what's true.
it's true.
So that's about what I would have to say for this body graph right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, that was huge, just the other part, between the head and the throat that just like when I found out, that I am allowed to go through many rabbit holes, well,
Yeah.
that just made me go, "Oh,
Thank God.
okay. Look, that's why I do that. That's why there's an internal fight all the time. Like, I'll let it go now and just know,
It's not
oh, there
the
it is.
mechanics say otherwise.
Yeah.
If I had my way, Sylvie, if I were the king of the world for a couple days, I'd make
Yeah.
sure every driver's license, every document, every birth certificate had their design on it, every medical
Yeah.
card, every school,
Yeah.
on the back doors of their, you know what I mean, in the kids' room.
Yeah. It just helps you. Just, yeah. Just like, okay. All right. Let that go. It's the name of the
Absolutely.
game on this human journey, letting things go.
Any last thing you can think to ask or that you'd like to know, or just gonna sit with this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that was enough. So that was huge. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it all percolate, and it will integrate. And I feel like there'll be just this ease now with more and more of my client sessions. So I so appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet, hon. You bet. Appreciate you. Definitely make. Don't forget to call back in.
I will. I
Yeah,
will.
because there's more to do. So,
Okay. Well, thank you, Danny. That was really, really appreciate you doing that.
so much love. Thank you, Sylvie. That
Yeah.
was lots of fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. What happens now? Hi, well, you're there. I don't know what happens now. Oh, can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I have to put my mic back down, and then you should be able to hear me.
Hmm.
Yes?
Yep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, no, this is in my face. I'm gonna lie down while you guys. Like, I don't have no sacral juice like the two of you, so I'm like, battery empty. But that was brilliant. I knew Danny was going to
My
find
favorite thing in
immense
the world.
joy, right,
Yep.
doing
Yep.
that. So I'm like, let's have Sylvie just be, drinking from the fire hose for.
I'm
Yes.
beaming in case you can't tell. I'm like, oh, this was great. That worked out. I love it now. I got nothing to prove, but it still feels good.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I
Yep.
was going to say, Sylvie, again, thank you so much
Wow.
for,
Thank you.
sharing your gifts with our community and, offering your so generous discount, which I will put in the chat again. And yes, if you're checking out the replay, make sure to look in the chat. And if you're like, what is she talking about? Go to our Instagram page where we made the post for Sylvie. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please follow us, tell your friends about us. And we're just super excited that you came and joined us. And Danny, do you have any words to say before we bid our friends adieu? Oh, actually, Sylvie, you need to tell people like your closing remarks or whatever plugs you want to do.
Well, I'll just say, I guess my Instagram handle is as my name, Sylvie's Celestial Sound. And my website is sylvieolivera.com, which I believe you'll have in the notes. And just to clarify, the 50% discount is off of one of my courses, which is nervous system alchemy with sound. And it was 5 weeks, so it's 5 classes, 5 videos, and there's teaching in it about the nervous system, and then there's also sound baths kind of sprinkled in there, so to help the nervous system. So that's the course, and that's where it's 50% off.